serving with the visual thing is what we're going to talk about tonight.
I need the flag.
Brother Jim, turn on your mic, please.
Thanks, sir. We're going to start out and we're going to talk about the Old Testament process that they had for the elimination of sin. It involved two goats in that process. The scripture tells us in Leviticus 16, verses 7 to 10, then he is to take the two goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. He is to cast lot for the two goats, one lot for the Lord, the other for the scapegoat. Aaron said, bring the goat whose lot falls to the Lord and sacrifice it for a sin offering. The goat chosen by lot as the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to be used in making atonement by sending it into the desert as a scapegoat. In verses 21 and 22, he is to lay both hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the wickedness and rebellion of the Israelites, all their sins, and put them on the goat's head. He shall send the goat away into the desert in the care of a man appointed for the task. The goat will carry on itself all their sins to a solitary place, and the man shall release it in the desert. Aaron would come up, and whichever lot went to the goat that would be taken out into the wilderness, he would come and he would lay his hands on the goat, and he would transfer symbolically all of the sins of the people of Israel to that goat. Hence the scapegoat. And then this goat was taken to the altar and given to the Lord as a sacrifice. Scapegoat defined as someone who's blamed for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others. Now to the one who knew no sin, yet bore ours as our scapegoat. The practice of crucifixion didn't begin with Christ. In fact, archaeology tells us that Darius, long before Christ came along, he crucified like 3,000 people that were against him. So crucifixion was not something new. It didn't begin with Christ and the criminals on his right and on his left. This Roman form of punishment was not so new. One would say Roman soldiers had witnessed this take place numerous times. Before this, they had seen many crucifixions of people. Yet the response from the soldier present was as Scripture states. And when the centurion who was standing right in front of him, right in front of Christ, saw the way he breathed his last, he said, truly, this man was the Son of God. Isaiah 53 gives us some insights about Christ, verses 1 through 6. He has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we were healed. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. Criminal on Jesus' right, criminal on Jesus' left. The one criminal on the one side was hurling abusive things at Jesus. But the other criminal sought forgiveness from Jesus, as he saw Jesus was no criminal. Luke chapter 23. Verse 40 to 43. But the other criminal rebuked him. Don't you fear God, he said, since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong. Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus answered him, I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise. This is an incredible thing to me. Because yes, Jesus was never stopped being God, never stopped being deity, but he was also human. But even in this torment, this physical torment that Christ was in, Jesus saw and cared for others. Now, I think I'd be more concerned at that moment about myself and the pain and the torture that was being inflicted on me. But Jesus took the words of this man and listened to him and cared for him and loved him and said, today you'll be in paradise. I think there's a lesson in that for us, because sometimes we're probably not ever going to be crucified, and yet we go through things that are struggles and what we feel like are tortures, and many times it's ourselves that we're worried about. And Jesus didn't look at it that way. Jesus saw what this other man was saying to him, and he dealt with it accordingly, the one that wanted forgiveness. Jesus had more than 12 legions of angels at his disposal. And the torture could have ended with a word from him. He could have called more than 12 legions of angels down, and this is over. But he never said a word toward that. Why would he suffer the past, present, and future sins on his shoulders? Literally a sinless human scapegoat. I think many times, and I'm in that group, many times we say this and we don't really understand, although we can look and see the sin that accumulates within us individually, and yet take that all past, present, and future that was laid upon Christ, who paid the penalty for us. Why? Well, Scripture gives us an answer to why. In Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, it says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. What was the joy that was set before him as he's going through this anguish? I'll tell you what that joy was. So many years later, he saw Jim. And he saw this is a path for Jim to come to peace with God through me. And he saw you. That was the joy that he sees. I do this that they may find a path through me to come to peace with God. Because I always wondered when I was a kid, I was like, what was the joy? I mean, he's being crucified. There can be no joy in that. And yet his joy was seeing and knowing those that would come to a saving grace through him down the road. And he sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. When Scripture says he sat down, what's the implication there? When you're doing work and you sit down, unless your job is sitting, if you're doing work and then you sit down, what does that usually infer? And done. When Christ sat down beside the Father, he rested of what he'd been doing, and he had done, he had accomplished what the Father had sent him out to do. John, we didn't see the video yet, did we? Let's go ahead and do that, and then I'll wrap it up.
It's the light that pierces through to the darkest hidden place. It knows your deepest secrets, and it doesn't look away. It's the gentle hand that pulls you from the judgment of the crowd. When you stand before the guilty and you've got no way out. Some may call it foolish and impossible, but for every heart rescues it to me. It's nothing less than scandalous, this love that took our place. Just call it what it is, call it grace. Oh, it's the breath that's breathing new life into what we thought was dead. It's the favor
This solemn night, we must all consider the weight, your sins and mine. He made him who knew no sin to be sin on our behalf, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. The dead Christ, there's nothing more to be said this evening. You're dismissed.
The lights was a good touch. One up there was water. Can you see anything? You see it?
One right there?
Yeah.
And the feet of the thing.
Or maybe the air conditioner's blowing out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Come to think, I didn't see it right now. It said that.
Yeah, right there.
I'm going, it's not an earthquake, because none of the rest of them's doing it.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
I need to find it. I need to get some more. I need to go look at some of those light fixtures and turn the lights from back here. Front lights, spotlights.
Yeah.
Well, that box used to work great. You push all each light.
Thanks, gentlemen. No, thank you. No, thank you.